You're watching ChillyBoy Productions. I'm Larry, ChillyBoy Chill Son, and this is my review for Next Exit. Now, before we get into this review, make sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so that you can chill with me on each and every one of my latest videos. Next Exit was an American indie presentation at the 2022 Denver Film Festival. Written and directed by Melly Elfman, the film follows two strangers who are forced to share a vehicle on a road trip to a research facility after humanity discovers definitive proof of the afterlife. Next Exit stars Rahul Kohli, Katie Parker, and Karen Gillan. It begins a limited theatrical release on November 4th. In honesty, I knew pretty much nothing about this film heading in. I looked at the credits and saw that Karen Gillan was in it and was like, oh, okay, as well as Rahul Kohli. I was like, okay, and decided to go ahead and give it a watch at this year's festival. Had some car problems and I had snow to get through, but I made this film tonight. And I have to say, I'm glad I did because I thoroughly enjoyed Next Exit. So let's go ahead and kick things off with the positives. Well, the script, particularly, is very strong here. We are dealing with some dense, complex, touchy issues about humanity and life and morality. The screenplay finds a way to really present these things in thoughtful manners, as well as respectful but bold and daring ways throughout the entire runtime. The concept itself is already daring and intriguing, really something different than most other films we've seen before on a base level. And the conversations, the scenarios all live up to the potential that this initial idea lays the groundwork for. Elfman also directs a beautiful film, taking some great chances with the framing and the story direction as we move throughout. We also have some stellar performances. Rahul Kohli, particularly, is amazing here. Really, one of the strongest performances I feel from 2022. He was that good. Katie Parker was also fantastic, though, especially after something like The Night House that came out recently. Oh, she was giving me major Rebecca Hall vibes, not just from her look, which she does look a whole lot like her, but just the performance itself. But if I'm comparing you to Rebecca Hall, take that as nothing but the compliment it is, because this performance was fantastic. I felt that the supernatural being blended into the mundane worked really well. It kept you on your toes as a viewer. It kind of kept the genre of this film in an interesting area where you didn't really know where to categorize it. I, at least, maintained intrigue from start to finish. My mind never wandered, and I was fully invested in this both personal and more existential type of story. And the end packs the emotional punch it intends. Crux of that third act is handled so well and powerfully, not only from a script standpoint, but from a visual standpoint. How they handle the situation that takes place right at the climax of our film is beautiful. It is touching, it is awe inspiring. It was so well done. So then, what didn't work so well when it came to Next Exit? My biggest negative actually is probably the first act because it takes just a minute to settle into the tone of the film. Teddy is such a forwardly positive, jokey character that you are juxtaposing this uh, this big comedy with some really dark themes and ideas, and it takes just a while for our two lead characters to find their groove and feel more natural as a pairing. Because at its core, ultimately, this is a buddy road trip comedy, dark comedy, existential comedy, mixed in with sci fi. But again, at its core, it is a buddy road trip film. We have two characters on a road trip, and the first act takes a little bit to really get into the groove. Once it hits the groove, fantastic. Also, while I loved the climax of the film and how it's depicted, I do think as we get into that third act, the film falls into some safe territory for the story it's telling. We have so many things that are bold and daring about this film that I don't fault it too much for injecting some of that safety as we get to the climax. However, I do, in many respects, wish we had kept pushing the envelope. I think it would have made for a much more divisive film, but I wonder if it would have made for an even more powerful film. In saying that, though, it also might have flown in the face of the ultimate message. So take this negative as you will. There are some safe story beats, though I think overall they do work. And then finally, Karen Gillan is basically a glorified cameo, and she plays our doctor in this film who is doing something that is very controversial. And she doesn't really do anything. I mean, I think maybe she filmed these at her home and sent them in, which is a shame because I think her character could have played a really interesting role, obviously, in this story. And they don't do anything with her character. In saying that, there's also a news event that is brought up about halfway through the film that is never addressed again. They never talk about it, they never bring it up, and it turns out to be not true. So it's very strange. That one story beat really felt like it was just thrown in for a little bit extra drama. But overall, I loved Next Exit. I think it handles this type of story, this atmospheric type of existential existence tale with an air of depression is right up my alley. And Next Exit handles it all so well, bolstered by a fantastic script and really strong performances. As soon as it's available, I definitely recommend checking Next Exit out. So that was my review for Next Exit. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so that you are always up to date on all of my latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Next Exit, or have you already had the chance to check it out? If you have, let me know your thoughts either in that comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.